right, what's up guys? I wanted to give you guys a quick video on how we called the bottom in March of 2020. So this is just past month, and there was a major drop. We went all the way from 3,400 or 300 or 340 in SPY, 3,400 on ES, all the way down to below 2,200. And a lot of people were panicking and selling into a major drop in price when that's exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. You should be looking for major demand and looking for a reversal at that point. So I want to show you guys how we were able to call this bottom and where we think it's going next. So real quick, I'll take you back to 2018 when we had a major drop in price due to some tariff news. So really quick, I'll show you guys what happened here. So we've got a monthly demand. So we've got another video that goes more into the basics of the structures, but we have a rally, a base, and a rally. So if you take this candle right here, you take the top of the base to the bottom of the wick, and that's demand right there. And you see what happens in 2018, we get a drop in the price and a very fast bounce all the way from that area up, really, until you get another down candle. You get 630 points or 27% from a major drop, where a lot of people were panicking, thinking it was going to go lower, and clearly it did not. So I'll take you down to a weekly time frame and show you what happened just recently. So you get really close to the area again, and you get another bounce. So this is the second time it had tested, and the more times an area is tested, the less likely it is to hold. So what happens is the next time it breaks down, it goes lower. So once it breaks that time frame, that demand there, we're looking for the next monthly demand. And so I shared a chart before it had bottomed with this blue box right here with a value area. And that value area was right at 2169 to 2174 right there in the box. So right here you see rally, a base, and a rally. And you see that this area has not been tested since the demand was created. And that's really important to know, because that means it's a very strong zone because it has not been tested. So we posted this and said this is a value area. So when it got down to the 2200 range, we were telling everybody buy, 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 because it's not going to spin long in this area because of all of the pent up demand that has been there since 2017, even back 2016. So that's really important to know, and that's why we believe that it would reverse. Now, if you look at it, we get the bounce out of there, we get a move all the way up, and if you look above, so it's always look left, you look above and you see a weekly candle right here of supply. You get a drop, base, drop on a weekly time frame, which is a very strong indication of a potential reversal. So what I'm looking for is a move. We get the move down from the top into monthly demand. Now we're getting the bounce back up into weekly supply. We are getting very close to that range, so it's time to be a little bit careful. But what I would expect to happen from the weekly supply is a move back down to the next monthly demand. And if we go back to the monthly chart, I'll show you guys the monthly demand here. So we have an untested zone. It has not been tested yet, right here. So you see the top of, I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit cleaner. But you get the top of the base to the bottom of the wick. So this zone is 1930 to around 1800. It's a pretty big zone, so you can go down to a smaller time frame and potentially find some of the smaller areas in here. So you could look for this demand right here. So this is demand within demand. So that's an important area to be watching, would be the 1875 area. And if it goes below 1800, then that supply has been used up, which I do not believe will happen. So what we're looking for is a move from weekly supply here. So we got a major drop to monthly demand, a major rally all the way from down here to up here, which is 32% rally if we get there all the way. We've already had about over a 20% rally. So once we hit this range, I expect weekly supply to hold, and I think we'll move lower ultimately. And that gives us a price down to 1930. So that's a dramatic move down, and it's really important that everybody understands until we can break through this zone, there is a 33% risk to the downside. If we can break above this zone and continue to test and stay high, get above it, then the risk is off, which I also don't think that's going to happen. So it's important to see that this is really the basics of supply and demand, and big picture what I think is going to happen. It's important also to stay nimble and always be ready to change your mind. You don't ever want to get super stubborn and think that you can't be wrong, because we can all be wrong. I think different things can happen, but it's important to be nimble and be willing to change, but also have a plan. So, you have anything to add?
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking when should we sell, when should we buy, and things like that. We've tried to be very open about, hey, we're 80% invested here, or hey, we sold some here, and we're only just basing it off of this stuff. So right now, when we hit the big value area this last month, we didn't go all in. We went in big, but we still are only about 80% invested. Obviously, we're going to react when we get closer to the zone on the top for a potential drop. But like he said, we have not tested the zone below at 1900. So if we do get to that zone, we will be 100% invested. So just keep following the group and you'll know how to react when we get closer to the weekly demand on the top, or weekly supply at the top.
Absolutely. So it's really important to understand that there's a bigger picture to this. And so we use a little bit of Elliott Wave in the group to kind of show you guys the bigger picture. But you see all the way back from 2008, you've got a wave 1, a wave 2, and there's a video on Elliott Wave as well if you guys want to learn more about that. But this is the third wave up here. So we're currently in a wave 4 down, which is good news for all of us, and it's good to see the bigger picture, because that means there's a wave 5 up, because Elliott Wave is constructed of 5 waves. And this is a supply and demand video, so I won't go too far into this, but it's really important to understand any drop in price is an opportunity, because we know we're headed back to all-time highs. We always do, and so that's really important to know. No matter where we are right now, as long as we're below all-time highs, there's value. But we do believe that when you get this major rally into supply, it's time to trim back your position, and we're going to do that. We'll be trimming back and trying to get to a value area, which is why we posted value here. We bought it, it rallied major. Now it may be time to trim back some and look for the next major value area. And so if we get back to here, which I believe we will, it's a major opportunity to buy, because we're going back to all-time highs. So that's it. I hope that helps. Wanted to give you guys one more video on supply and demand and kind of how that works. So.